I'm writing this as a letter I'll probably never send. Because some truths only make sense when Oling is interrupting you. It was Dad's birthday. The kind where the candles smoke more than they burn and the cake is cut unevenly because everyone's already halfway through their second drink. I was standing near the end of the table, close enough to help, but far enough to avoid being asked anything complicated. That's been my position for a while. My nephew was swinging his legs from his chair, bored in the way children get when adults linger too long in nostalgia. He looked at me, eyes bright, unburdened by the weight of what he was about to say. "Grandma told me you're not really family," he said. The room laughed, not a shocked laugh, not a corrective one. The kind that smooths things over by pretending nothing sharp just happened. I smiled because that's what you do when a child says something that adults should never have let reach his mouth. I smiled because correcting him would have meant correcting everyone else. I smiled because I knew exactly where the idea came from. And I knew no one there was going to challenge it. Someone changed the subject. Someone asked for more plates. The moment passed the way moments do when everyone silently agrees not to examine them too closely. I finished the party. I hugged Dad, I waved goodbye. I drove home with the radio off. That night, I opened my laptop and logged into the tuition account. I want to be clear about this part, because people like to simplify it later. I didn't slam my hand down on the keyboard. I didn't feel righteous or dramatic. I felt tired. Tired in the specific way that comes from realizing you've been holding up a structure that doesn't include you. Years ago, when my sister was panicking about college costs, I offered to help. Not because anyone asked me directly, but because I knew the numbers and I had the means. I set it up quietly. Automatic payments, no announcements. It felt like the right thing to do. Support doesn't need an audience to be real. Over time, it became invisible. Assumed. Folded into the background of family life like utility bill no one thinks about until it stops being paid. That night, I didn't close the account. I froze it, temporarily. Administratively. A pause button, not a demolition. I stared at the confirmation screen longer than I needed to. By 8:55 the next morning, my sister called. She didn't start with hello. "What did you do?" she asked. Her voice wasn't angry yet. It was startled. As if a floor she'd been standing on her whole life had suddenly shifted an inch to the left. "I paused the account," I said. There was a sharp inhale on the other end. Papers rustled. Keys clicked. I could picture her standing in her kitchen, phone pinned between shoulder and ear, already doing the math. "You can't do that," she said. "I can," I replied. Not to provoke her, just to state a fact. There was a beat of silence. Then, "Is this about last night?" I thought about lying. About saying it was a mistake, a technical issue. Anything that would let her fix it without addressing why it happened. "It's about what last night clarified," I said instead. She sighed, long and practiced. "He's a kid. He didn't mean anything by it." "I know," I said, and I did. "That wasn't the part that hurt." "What do you want me to do?" she asked. Already defensive, I didn't have a neat answer. This wasn't leverage I'd planned to use. It was simply leverage that existed, revealed by circumstance. "I want to understand," I said. "Why?" It was funny. She didn't respond right away. When she did, her voice was careful. "Mom didn't mean it like that. That's the problem," I said softly. She meant it enough to say it. The call ended without resolution, not slammed down, just set aside. Over the next few days, the family system did what it always does when tension appears. It redistributed blame, it smoothed edges. It sent messages designed to restore equilibrium without addressing the fracture. Dad called to say he didn't remember the comment clearly. Mom sent a text about how sensitive kids are these days. An aunt suggested we all get together and clear the air. No one asked how long I'd felt like this. Freezing the account changed the temperature immediately. Suddenly, I wasn't an abstract presence at the table. I was a variable. A consideration. That shift was uncomfortable for everyone, including me. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt exposed. Power has a way of doing that when you weren't seeking it. My nephew called me a week later, coached within an inch of his life. "I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings," he said, reading words he didn't fully understand. "You didn't," I told him truthfully. Adults sometimes say confusing things. He seemed relieved. He asked about his science project. We talked about planets. Children adapt faster than families. My sister called again after that, this time calmer. Mom's upset, she said. She thinks you're punishing him. I'm not, I said. I'm reassessing my role. She didn't like that word. Reassessing sounds cold. It implies choice where people prefer inevitability. You've always been there, she said. Yes, I replied. And I still am. Just not unconditionally. There was another silence, heavier than the last. What does that mean? She asked. It meant I wasn't going to fund a future where my place in the family was negotiable. It meant support would no longer flow in only one direction. It meant I needed acknowledgement before generosity. But I didn't say all of that. I said, it means we talk. Weeks passed. The account stayed frozen. Deadlines approached. Conversations grew more serious. Eventually we sat down together. No raised voices. No dramatic apologies. Just an uncomfortable recognition of facts that had always been there, waiting. Mom admitted she'd said it. She said she didn't realize it mattered. She said she'd always seen me as adjacent, helpful, reliable, not central. Hearing it stated so plainly hurt more than the joke ever did. I didn't know you felt excluded. She added, as if exclusion requires consent. I unfroze the account after that meeting. Not immediately. After a few days. After it was clear the words were just said to restore access. Things didn't magically improve. They adjusted. I'm still invited to birthdays. Still included in group texts, but there's a new awareness now. A recognition that support isn't automatic, and belonging isn't something you can outsource. Sometimes I wonder if freezing the account was too much. If there was a gentler way to make myself visible. But then I remember the laughter. How practiced, I don't know what loyalty means anymore. At least not in the way I was taught. I know it isn't silent endurance. I know it isn't financing your own erasure. This letter isn't an indictment. It's a record. A reminder to myself that smiling through something doesn't mean it didn't cost me anything. I'm still deciding what family looks like when you stop paying for the privilege.